Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. And if you're watching the video, you can see me, Megan, and then you can also see
Melissa.
You're just going to pretend you weren't mouthing along to everything I said?
How can I pretend when it's being recorded? You went off script, so then I had to stop. The first few things you always say.
FYI, everyone, this whole podcast is scripted.
Mm-hmm.
We memorize it.
So good.
Yeah, we actually, we don't write the script either, though.
No, even the call's fake.
Yeah, no, we have someone outsourced. They write my lines, they write your lines, they write the bits for us. They write the inside jokes that we
what
planned.
We're saying right now.
Yeah, this was we're breaking the fourth wall. But
we're not.
We're not.
We're still on script.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Line. Welcome back.
What we're hearing in our headphones is actually them feeding things to us.
The producers are they're also laughing. They love that. And they're okay, take it let's go back to 1. And then if I have to pee, I'll be can I 10 more?
Yeah. No one gets that unless they work in the industry.
Okay. Well, it's a funny joke if you work in the industry.
10-1.
On this podcast, if you're wondering what this is, we give wonderful, amazing, life-changing advice. And you might be wondering how we are qualified. Because you look at us and you go, beauty and brains?
Mm-hmm.
And one of you has a butt?
It's real thick. And one of you is really tall.
That's what she has.
You have long, what's the word? Graceful legs.
I thought you were going to say the old lady to her, gams or whatever. Is
gams
your whole leg?
You got them gams, yeah.
The whole leg.
Mm-hmm.
Hip to foot.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a broken toe. And a poorly healed other broken toe.
Did you wrap it?
No, it's okay right now. I'm not walking.
Yeah, that's...
It's the walking where as soon as you let me know.
I need you to get the little splint.
You can get that on Amazon? Can I get that at Target?
Maybe. You can also just get a popsicle stick and just put it right there and then wrap it around
A very tiny popsicle stick?
Break it.
Ooh, splinters. So all of that being said, we're qualified because when we were both born out of the same vagina, clearly, 3 might call them witches came and they were all in their primary colors, these cute little old ladies, and they gave us these blessings of magical powers.
Yeah.
And then there's a poison apple, but I don't really know where that falls in the lore.
This isn't Frozen. This is Spindle. You're going...
That's what I was saying. I think I'm conflating too.
You're mixing Snow White and whatever that bitch, Sleeping Beauty, whatever
Aurora.
her name is. Aurora. Yeah, you're mixing the two.
Okay. So yeah.
Spindle. Mm-hmm. And so they banned all of them from wherever they were.
Yeah.
And then, little Aurora found it and touched it. And then it happened.
Drama. And then drama ensued. You know what I think we should bring back? Thimbles. I love the word.
Well, you can play Monopoly.
Yeah, but no, just the concept of when I'm sewing, I need to put this metal cap on my finger. That was impressive. If you watch the Patreon where you can see the video version, we both always get those random chills up our spine. That was actually, I think that might have been your #1.
Yeah.
You need to get your iron checked.
It's iodine.
Iodine?
Mm-hmm.
Fluoride? Are those in the same field?
I mean, they're both chemical elements, but no.
Because fluoride's for your teeth. Iodine is what you drink when you have to go get an MRI.
Yeah, but it's also something that you should have a balance of in your body, which is why some salt is fortified with iodine, and I don't use salt that much, so.
Oh. That would make sense. I'm a salty girl. You know how I know I'm a salty girl? Or I like slept weird last night and like I didn't get enough blood flow. My left hand, I woke up, it was so fucking swollen. Not my right hand, just my left hand. Could not get my ring on this morning. It's fine now. Totally fine.
My hands are numb every morning because I sleep on top of him, like under my pillow.
You sleep face down, ass up.
I do.
Naked?
And I don't. And I can't.
You're asking for those ghosts.
I want them.
She's a suit.
I don't know why.
No, I know you do.
No one takes me seriously when I say these things.
Sadly, I know how serious you are. Like, I know.
And ghosts and aliens and anything supernatural, really. And the funny thing
what about
is
a centaur?
like, oh, that'd be so hot. Think about it.
I regret asking. I regret asking. Move on. Move on.
Think of it. Half man, half horse.
Well, here's the thing. I hate horses.
Yeah.
I hate. I don't know. Horses have like huge fucking dicks.
That's what I'm saying. The lower half is horse. So.
No, I don't. That's too much horse. That's like, it's too much horse percentage towards man. Like, and also like the man is so far away from the horse. Like from me when that is happening. Like I'm getting all horse and I'm getting all underside of a horse. And like.
But it's not really underside because the top part is still man. The top chest is man.
How fucking flexible is this man and how small is this horse body? That's what I'm saying. Like you're going to have to like, no, I don't want hooves. I don't want hooves in the bedroom. I really don't. And I can't stress enough.
They're taking you horsey style. Hooves are on the floor. Or hanging off the bed.
It looks like a broken horse. But also, horses are covered in hair.
But
like
centaurs aren't from the waist up.
Yeah, but do you know what catches? I'm sorry, if a fuck ton of straight men can't wash their ass, if you combine that with a horse, that ass has never even been washed. There's no chance. There's not even a small percentage.
I make sure they bathe before.
You're gonna wash your centaur in your bathtub?
Also, the whole straight men thing is white straight men.
Well, yes. So, I also have a theory about that, which I was gonna
think centaurs fit into that, so they might wash their asses.
I need a non-white centaur. Because I mean, I guess that is true. Where do a centaur fall on the spectrum of white supremacy?
What do they identify as?
Where were the centaurs?
Where were you on January 6th?
Were you clopping around? That's so fucking funny. But yeah, I think
makes sense to me.
It makes complete fucking sense. Also because
and it's funny because like specifically in the Black community, we have something like when you go take a shower, like you're like said, like, did you wash your ass? Like, or you say, I'm going to wash my ass. Like that's a slang for like, I'm going to take a shower.
Yeah.
So like, we're very specific that asses are getting washed.
Well, and also like white people don't use like washcloths.
I know.
Like that's like a foreign kind of thing. Like, and like, I remember one of my best friends growing up was Jamaican. Her mom, like, you know, we would go in her pool and we would like rinse off afterwards. She was like, no, get your ass in the fucking shower and would and she was white, but like, she spent a lot of time in Jamaica. But even with that, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is something that you do because it's like, but like when you coddle straight white dudes that much, like no wonder why they don't think their shit stinks. You cut off their foreskin. And so they literally think that they don't have to do anything because like it's just par for the course. If you're not circumcised, you'll get at least like one shitty infection and then you never do that again. And then those people actually like bathe more and like clean themselves.
Yep. No cottage cheese. No cottage cheese, but also no mac and cheese packet smelling dicks.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyways.
So if people want to call in, what do they do?
Well, it is a call-in advice podcast, which I don't even know if I said at the beginning.
You did.
Great. You can call in. That's exactly what you do. You leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can just send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. You have to be 18 or over, have your parents' permission. We ask that you let us know like your ages, if you want to let us know your pronouns. It's all anonymous. So if you have fake names for people that you want to use, that's helpful for us to follow. Let us know their ages. If you're about a relationship, how long have you been together? Give us as many details as possible so we can give you the best advice, because otherwise you have to fill in the holes. And we said we're great at giving advice. We didn't say we're psychic. Right. Though I do think if I tapped into it, it's there. But you only have 3 minutes to do all of that. So we advise that you write everything down. You time it a couple times, see where you're falling. If you need to add more details, you've got extra time or less. If you're under 3 minutes and you have more details, include them. Then we just ask you to read that out loud when you record the voicemail or you record the voice memo. If you do a wonderful, fantastic job, you might get
a diamond. They come few and far between these days, though, because it has to be like above and beyond at this point, because everybody's like doing well. So I have to raise the bar.
I will say, though, on where we had the call with the girl who her friend was like a pathological liar, a lot of extra time, and I would have wanted more examples.
Yeah. A lot of people, again, the timer doesn't start until after Megan's voice is gone.
So don't press start until then, because I would definitely just be paying attention to like what it said on my phone.
Yeah.
So those are the instructions. May the odds be ever in your favor. And it's all anonymous. So you get as freaky deaky as you want. Give us the goss. We love drama. We love drama. And hey, we're in a post-vaccine world. So tell us about you getting fucked in a barn.
Yeah. Where's that girl?
Do you think she's still in the barn?
No, I don't think I think she stopped listening.
I think she did too.
And then left us a bad comment about choices.
Yeah. You know, we're not ashamed to say we do play favorites, though, for letting into the Facebook group. So we've had a couple people who are in our Patreon who are like, oh, I'm not in it. And we were like, oh, you get to skip right to the front of the line. So if that's
the inner circle,
if that's something that it's really something you want, I'm just saying, I know what I can, you know, smooth over the security.
Yes, they're telling us that we can do that.
Great, perfect. Cool. HR is cool with that? Okay, legal is fine.
Yeah. And the writers of the show.
Cool. Yeah, got it. Great. Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll just go into the calls. Maybe we should get Britney Spears headsets for this.
Cool.
We
can do it.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm 19 and my pronouns are she, her. I've always been labeled as someone that's had it all together. I was a mature for her age child that got along with adults, always took care of myself, got great grades, kept everything organized, and had my whole life planned out basically from the moment I started forming thoughts. Now, not so much. I messed up horribly when I picked the college I wanted to go to, and ever since I feel like my life is falling apart. I realized early on that I hated the school and everyone there, so I came home. I enrolled last minute to online community college and got a job. I made a ton of new connections through work, and I started going to the gym. These things sound great, except during the past couple of months, I started experiencing severe burnout. I spent all of high school working hard to get perfect grades, and now I can barely open my computer to look at my schoolwork. My job went from being fun and refreshing to feeling like an obligation that drained all of my mental and physical energy. The gym was great, with a great break from stress, except now I can't even talk myself into driving there. I don't like being back home, I don't like feeling like I'm just existing to pass time, and I don't know what to do with myself. The life and career that I spent 15 years dreaming about don't interest me anymore. I just want to feel a genuine connection to something again, and I don't know where to go from here. I'm looking into transferring to another school for my junior year of college so I can get some semblance of a college experience, but none of the schools I'm looking at feel right. I don't want to fail, and I don't want to get stuck in my hometown with nothing to show for myself. Please help.
I can really go in on this one.
As the call was happening, I go, thank God we have two people with two different life experiences giving advice here, because we have a trouble in class detention kid, and then we have a gifted kid. So as the gifted kid, take it away.
Okay, so I also was someone that had all these plans and stuff for my life, much like you, like very involved with a lot of things around town, having a job, also when I was in college, and just like, you know, things seemed like they were going great and they weren't. And yours kind of, you know, hitting that slump before mine did. I was 21 and I was almost done with college, and in a degree where I studied biology, in a degree that I don't use anymore. I don't use at all. And it was.
It's not true. You answer random questions I have all the time.
That's true.
No, and that's my favorite thing is having questions and then like you just answer them. It's great.
That's true. But since you're 19, you have a little bit more flexibility here. I was stuck and I couldn't get out because of my major. But like I crashed, and when I crashed hard to the point where I didn't leave my apartment for a few months. I felt very lost, like you said. Like I was president of a couple clubs and I just like stopped doing that and stuff. And that was my first bout of depression. And when you're the person that always has the answers and people always look to you to be right, and people always look at you as the shining example for everything, then it is tiring and you don't know it until you're going through it. And I thought that I had to be perfect for everybody else, and I wasn't being perfect for me. And then I also realized that there's no such thing as perfection. It gets tiring. You cannot plan out every part of your life. You cannot, no matter what path you're on, there's just not like, you have to be flexible. People would see me as kind of like a role model for their kids. And because of that, I felt like I had to be perfect all the time. And that's why like people say now, like, you're such a great role model. First of all, I'm not. You don't get on my TikToks. Second.
Yeah. That's a quick way to find.
Second, I don't want to be somebody's role model.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure and they expect perfection.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you that like, it's okay. Like you can take some time for yourself. You can slow down. Like there's no such thing as perfection. So you do not need to strive for that. If like you're in your degree and you decide this is not what you want to do, don't do it. I was taking classes like for fun. I was taking writing classes and I took an acting class. I took a lot of classes that were like in the fine arts department. And I went to my advisor and I was like, I don't want to go to dental school. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she looked at my transcript and she's like, you take all like these communication, writing, all these classes like for fun. What if you looked at that as a career? And I said, I'm supposed to be a doctor. I'm not supposed to be,
I'm going to Hollywood.
Like I'm not
Hollyweird.
Right. I'm not supposed to be in the arts.
And
she was like, okay, just like look into it. So I did. And I came out and worked on some student films and I really loved it. So I think it's just about finding something that you love, and it doesn't necessarily have to be what you're studying in school. Just kind of look at the things that you like, things that you enjoy. And if like going to school and doing that and you figure that out, great. If not, take a lot of schools now. When I was in school, they didn't, but now they offer this as a degree. It's like you can just kind of get like a degree in everything where they have, I forgot what is, I think at the University of Arkansas, I believe it's called like a university degree. Like that's what it is. And it can be in everything. If getting a degree is important to you, then see if they have something where it has more of a broad spec where you can just learn about a lot of things. And if you're not going into something that's specialized as a career, most degrees don't even matter. Like what you get your degree in, it really doesn't matter.
You can also go to most grad schools with whatever undergrad degree you have.
As long as you take whatever the
prereqs.
Yeah, the prereqs. And then like, let's say if you're going to law school, you got to take the LSAT or whatever. As long as you can get those to pass it, then it's really whatever.
Yeah. So as somebody who was not a gifted kid and didn't have that experience at all, and someone who failed regularly, failure is inevitable, but it's also a muscle. Like nobody likes to fail. Nobody is good at failing the first time. Nobody, regardless if you're gifted or regardless of, or if you're not. Like it's because society, we've put this huge pressure, even if you can't live up to it. And if it's a standard that you can't achieve. So it's something that you need to practice and you need to not be afraid of, because when you don't let yourself fail and you don't like seek out failure, like you need to seek it out to get comfortable with that feeling. If you don't do that, the stakes are too high for your like literal everyday life, like for your fucking own body and your like cortisol levels. Like when you're so afraid of like misstepping or doing something that could be perceived as wrong or again, like a failure, like you're going to not do anything. Like that's an immobilizing feeling. And I think like, honestly, like trying anything, I think like a great way to like just kickstart failure is, you know, you don't have to do it in like a auditioning for a like an acting role or a school play or a community theater, but even just taking a dance class or taking a class for something that you've never done before that you're not automatically going to be good at. And if you are automatically good at the first thing, go, cool, putting that in my cap for later and I'll come back to it, but I'm not doing another class of this. Like you need to seek something out that you're not good at. And it doesn't matter that you need to like then become good at it. It's you need to fail and then you need to show up again. And then you need to maybe fail again and then show up again. Like I promise you, as somebody who like auditions for things, it's the first fucking audition I went on. I bombed it. It was horrible. And I would have never gotten the role. But I was devastated. Now I'm like, okay, some I'll be more upset with others if the project and the writing is good. It's like a bloody nose. It's not convenient. It's not my favorite thing ever, but like I forgot about it 20 minutes later. Like I've moved on. It doesn't halt my life. And you have to also figure out what makes you happy. And again, I don't relate to the like perfectionism in like the success in like everybody else's eyes. Like I was really hard on myself, but wasn't so like linear and obvious. But I've had to like, even now, I had this like realization a couple of days ago where I was like, what do I do that makes me happy that I don't place like value on my performance of it? Mm-hmm. Like what do I do that makes me happy that I don't try to monetize, that I don't try to make a part of my career, that I don't give myself a pass or a fail in my active participation in, because like, then it's not making me happy. Right. Then it's a test. And I'm setting myself up that I'm allowed to be happy if I do well. But if I don't, but then it's like, what the fuck are we quantifying? Like, This is happiness. So I think you need to also figure out what makes you happy. And I mean, again, this was me like 3 days ago. I had an existential crisis listening to a Taylor Swift song and I go, oh my God. So I'm like trying to think of those things too. And that changes as we get older, and things that once made us happy before, that we liked before, you're going to change. Your interests are going to change. Your friends are going to change. Your relationship, like everything is going to change. And that's a good thing. Like, and if it makes you feel any better, not only are there so few careers that you can actually have that can be your dream from a child, that can come to like total fruition through like schooling and not just sheer luck and privilege, but also a lot of people who are in those career paths that have dreamed of that since they were like a little kid and all of that. A lot of the time, people felt like they got too far along and it might not actually be their current day dream. Like what your dream was and your plan that you had when you were 10. Sure, there are people whose plan was to be a doctor when they were 10 and now they're in their 40s. That dream might have actually died when they were 20, but that's where they are at that point. And that's just a personality thing. Some people's personalities, and whether it's their upbringing or just like who they are to their core, they're able to compartmentalize and just be like, okay, power through, like that's okay. And other people can't. And so don't try and make yourself those other people. Cause like if you could fake it, if you could do all, it would have already happened.
Right.
Like this is who you are. And I think this is a really great indicator for you. Maybe even just an insight of, I don't know what the specific field was or what that whole plan was, but if it was something really like rigid and analytical or mathematical or like something like science, math or whatever, maybe it's representative that you actually like something that's a little more fluid, a little more artsy, like something that's a little more creative, a little less black and white. Or if it was something like creative and artsy, maybe your brain is craving some like very black and white analytical thinking. Mm-hmm. So try and, based on what it was that was the goal and the end game, see if you can deduce what you might actually be interested in from there.
Right.
And also, the end of the plan is like death. So like when you make a plan, but like when you make a plan of like, this is like how my life is going to map out and all the stuff that I want, like there is no like destination or end of anything. So like, it's okay, well, it's not the end of college because it's about getting a job. But it's not about getting your first job. It's getting a promotion. Then it's getting your second job. And then it's getting this. And it's having kids. And that's all of this. It literally just like doesn't end. And you can't reach that goalpost because again, like it just ends when you die. Like it it will only ever end when you die. And then you're not giving yourself time to actually enjoy your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too many steps.
I do want to just touch on something for calling things failure for you, like work as a, like saying failures. For me, it doesn't. I don't like the word failure. I always see like them as learning experiences, or I take something from them.
The feeling of failure.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I didn't get that, but like I learned this from it, and I can take that to the next thing that I do.
I think that's the aftermath of something that you didn't succeed. Like for me, that's like if I do an audition and I absolutely bomb it, like, you know, same thing with like a test. If I failed the test, I'm like, okay, well, here's what I wasn't good at on this thing and all of that. Like it is like a learning experience, but I don't think like to me, like a failure is not a state of being, or like you either succeeded or you failed, like, because it's a passing feeling as a result of something that then I have to learn from. That's interesting.
Yeah. Like even like your example of like you take a dance class and you're bad at it. I'm like, but did I have a good time? Did I move in it? Like I did something. I was even able to do it.
How long have you been like that?
Always.
Oh, that's impressive. That's very, very impressive.
I think, and like people are like, you're so easygoing and stuff. And it's like, I take experiences and I take something from it.
If that was in like your specific field or something you were interested in, would you have the same feeling? Like when you were like a pre-dental kind of stuff, like if it was like a dentist thing or biology thing versus like a dance class thing, would you have like, well, I had a good time because I was there and it was like a fun experience?
I mean, like when I was like, there were some classes that I wasn't good at. And I was like, well, I'm just not good at that thing, but I can take something from this and then, use it for something else. Or I know that isn't for me.
Yeah. No, that's ridiculously impressive. That's very, very, very impressive. I have a hard time with like, if I'm not good at something the first time I do it, I'm like, I don't like doing anything that I'm not good at.
I don't like doing it, but it's still like an experience for me.
No, that's how it should be. Like, that's very, very, like, I have to push myself to, I mean, certain things I love enough that like, I mean, auditioning and act, it's like a toxic relationship. Yeah. Like you keep going back for more. But for other things that I'm not like immediately good at, I have to push through for that. But that's very impressive.
Or I'll do something that'll make me better at it.
Yeah, that's very impressive. I literally will give up like 2 seconds in.
It's kind of like with gymnastics, I wasn't good. The only thing I was really good at is like tumbling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that like I would never be like a gymnast, but like then I took the tumbling into cheerleading.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe it was you had like obvious like skills and things that you knew you were good at in multiple like fields and avenues, so it didn't feel like everything was all in one basket?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me then, because then it's like you are aware that you're well-rounded.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to say I was a Jane of all trades.
Yeah. Before. Your parents put you in a bunch of different stuff growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. That's
and
really
also because we moved around a lot, so we kind of had to do like what was there and then what was seasonal at the time.
Yeah. When you're exposed to a bunch of other different stuff that you can also, not that you can reinvent yourself, but like you have to also know yourself well enough to kind of like pitch yourself to new schools to like fit in and like assess the bigger picture of like the lunchroom, who am I going to sit with, and like being able to read people. You also have to know yourself pretty well. Maybe that's the key. We just as children need to move around to new schools and be in lots of different extracurriculars. Okay.
All right. Next call.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I just want to say I really appreciate the podcast and all the help you both give us. I've learned a lot from just listening and decided it's time to call in about my relationship. Basically, I feel like we should break up, but we live together and he's really struggling with depression right now, so it doesn't feel fair to do to him. I'm 25, she, hers, and my partner, let's call him Rob, is 28, he, him. I've wanted to call in for a while about our relationship, but I feel like I know what you're going to say and I've been scared to hear the answer. We've been together for about 1.5 years and have already broken up twice. I broke up with him both times because I felt like I was taking care of him and he wasn't investing in our relationship the way I needed. We're in couples therapy because when we got back together, I demanded it before we moved in together this past August 2022. I've been in therapy our whole relationship and he has recently started. After listening to the call about how it's a trauma response to be taking care of someone else,
I realized that's exactly what I've always done in our relationship. I'm a therapist myself and have a lot to give in our relationship, and I feel like he only takes. What triggered this call was that we have opposite schedules and barely see each other or spend time together anymore. Even when we're home, he chooses to spend time alone. Like tonight when we had planned to hang out, I canceled plans with my friends to hang out with him, and he just played video games and took a nap. I went to bed upset and briefly mentioned it when he came in to say goodnight, probably because I didn't say goodnight as I usually do because I was pissed. I've been working on talking to him more when things like this come up because I have OCD and an insecure attachment style in relationships. I never feel satisfied with that relationship. I always come back to him because he changes when I tell him what I need, but only for a small time, and it goes back to normal. He's very depressed right now and going through a lot of his own trauma processing and work burnout. I've tried to be there for him, but I know it's dragging me down because he can't give me what I need. My friends and sister all tell me that he doesn't treat me well and that I should break up with him. It's different friends from different groups that all feel the same way. I've just always seen potential in him, and as my therapist pointed out, I really struggled and missed him when we did break up. I know we have put in a lot of work and tried really hard, but at what point do you guys think I should walk away? I don't feel right leaving him in such a low place because he doesn't have many people to support him. He just got off his toxic family. We also live together and our lives are so intertwined that I feel stuck and don't know what it would even look like to break up. But I know I'm not happy and haven't been for a while. My God always tells me that this isn't the right relationship for me. I just don't know how I wanted to pull the plug. I really do love him and care for him deeply, but our relationship hasn't felt right for a long time now. I'm pretty sensitive, but I know I need to hear the truth from you. Please help me figure out where to go from here. Love you guys, and thanks again for all the...
I'm glad you called. And let's just say first step, you called knowing what we were going to say.
Mm-hmm.
So you can add us to the list of the countless people who have told you that you need to break up with them.
Right.
You could use a little glitter gel pen with our names. Right there. This is, I mean, you know how many red flags this is. Like, as somebody who like loves couples therapy, and I think it's great. If you've been dating for a year and you've already been in couples therapy and you've broken up twice, and couples therapy was a rehabilitation for like the issues in your relationship versus two people who independently go to therapy and then decided that they wanted to, which, you know, I'm not here to judge anybody, but like that's very like a new age LA thing of being like, oh, like let's go to couples therapy the first, like we're both like, that's like, you know, you're 40 years old, like, and you're doing a lot of intentional things. Like it was a response to issues in your relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that you're viewing that time and like money and energy that you put into it as like an investment into the relationship versus an investment into yourself. And that like you don't want it to be like a sunk cost. But this is like what you were saying before, like this is the example of a learning experience and not like, oh, I'm going to avoid these relationships in the future. But I think like he served his purpose, which was also, you know, teaching you what you're attracted to in relationships and like what you're like, oh, I tend to like want to take care of people. And it's able to pinpoint these things that you've noted that you need to work on in yourself. But you already broke up once and you missed him and you got back together and you literally
break up twice.
Oh no, but so you said the last time that your therapist, you were really sad and you missed him. Now you've gotten that part out of your system. And you specifically said like he'll change, but then he goes back to normal. Like, yeah. So this is who he is, and you know that.
You know that. He doesn't even want to spend time with you. You cancel your plans tonight. Sounds like you're calling us from the closet.
Well, I know.
Because you said you went to your room.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing you didn't want him to hear because he's in the other room playing video games. You called us when you're supposed to be out on a date right now.
Yeah.
He is a grown man, not your child. It's not your responsibility to take care of him. You can care from him from afar, but at the end of the day, you have to worry about you, and this is not healthy for you.
I also don't think it's healthy for him. Like, if you think about it, you're like, well, I don't know what's going to happen if I like leave. I don't feel right leaving him. Do you think that he wants you to stay for that? Like, if you're not into the relationship, if you think you told him, hey, I want to break up, but I'm going to stay because I think you're like emotionally like unstable right now, do you think that he's going to be like, good, I want you to do that? That's manipulative. Or he says, I don't want you to do that. Like I understand like you're concerned for him, but like, why aren't you worried about your concerns for yourself? Yeah. Who's thinking about you?
Exactly. I kind of like, this is for anybody in a relationship, like something to ask yourself. And it could be in friendships too. Like, why are we together right now? Not like the potential or like what we had in the past. Why are we together right now?
Yeah.
What's his answer going to be? Because I love you. Okay, then how are you showing me that you love me? Like, what are you doing? I'm trying to invest and do things for this relationship. What are you doing for this relationship? And then for you, why are you still here? Because you're scared because he's in a depressive state and you don't want to leave him because he doesn't have family around. But what is that doing for you?
And when is that going to change? Mm-hmm. Like, when does that circumstance, at what point are you going to be okay with that circumstance? Is it when your mental health is plummeted? Like, so do you see that as a necessary evil to, like, you need to get to that level before you have to get to rock bottom before you can help yourself and prevent that from happening? Mm-hmm. I'll also say that, like, depression and mental health is, like, obviously a very, like, shitty thing and tricky thing to deal with alone, also in a relationship. And I don't want this to come across for people who like are like dealing with depression or have a partner dealing with depression, but your partner shouldn't be able to eradicate your depression, mm-hmm. but your partner should not be a source that you need to escape from that is like a major factor contributing to your depression. Like, your partner, all relationships in your life should be the bright spots.
Right.
They shouldn't be the same part of the dark spots. Like, my favorite fucking part, I mean, I love that when we get to the pod on Tuesdays and I have human interaction, but like every night, my favorite part of the day is when Moss comes home from work. It's like the slate has wiped clean if I had a shitty day or if I was mental health wise, like was not feeling great. Like, he and I both have like our favorite time mentally. Like, I am the best when we're spending time together. Mm-hmm. That's how.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Relationship should be. And of course, there are times where like you don't need to put on a happy face for your partner if you're dealing with a lot of stuff. Like, you're allowed to be depressed. You're allowed to like feel melancholy, feel sad, and process those emotions and feelings. But if your partner is not a bright spot, and that bright spot doesn't have to pull you out. It doesn't have to pull you out, but like if it's sucking you down or it's just still a pocket of darkness, that's a problem there, because that's not the right relationship. And regardless of your mental health state, if he's at a point where there are no bright spots, there are no interactions, there are no TV shows, there are no songs, there's like absolutely nothing, he can't be in a relationship, and he needs that it needs to be like, you need to talk about like a serious, whether it's a medical leave of absence and like an inpatient or an outpatient facility. But like, if the things that you love, yes, some things don't bring you joy anymore, diminish it. But again, like if it's not like a couple shades brighter with the things that you love, that will only bring you down, because then you're going to start viewing yourself as this like happiness suck too. Because him not wanting to spend time with you when in all of this shit, like you're not intentionally, you're going to start feeling like his poor mental state and his poor outlook is the result of you and your presence. I firmly believe as a depressed person that like I do take onus and responsibility to make sure that I don't make anyone else feel like my state is the result of them. Like it's my responsibility, no matter how shitty I'm feeling, that if the person thinks that they did something or it's their fault, it's my responsibility to immediately reiterate that it's not that, because I don't want to pull you down with me. And if he wants to do that, that's not poor mental health. That's manipulative. Right.
And also when I'm in a depressive state and somebody like, how do I say this? I hate when people feel like they need to be around me to fix me too. And I don't there's no feeling that I hate more than that. Like people that think that they have the ability to fix me. And again, so like if he's like working on himself and then he also like wants to be in a relationship with you, what is he doing to keep you as far as like a relationship?
Yeah. Good mental health is not like a destination. And so when it's like, oh, I want to fix this, that's also my stubborn ass like kicks in. And I'm just like, why do you think that this is something that can be fixed? And like, if we can't coexist with like my bad or my dark days or whatever, then like then this isn't gonna work. Like I work on managing it. But if your goal is eradicating all of that, like that would be great, magic wand, but that doesn't exist. And I can get into like a stubborn like tug of war of that. Yeah. And I would think it'd be hard, no offense, I think it would be really hard to have a partner who, while you're dealing with mental health stuff, who's a therapist. I think that'd be really hard for both parties.
Yeah.
So you need to break up with him. You said like, I don't know how I even do that because our lives are so intertwined.
You just do it.
Yeah. If you think he's a danger to himself or others, then you report that. He cut off his toxic family. Don't call them. Like, don't do that. Like, there are professionals for a reason. Is the system perfect? No. You also know that. But this isn't working.
Yeah.
So there's only so many options that you have. And it's going to suck, but you end it. You find a new apartment or you move in with a friend or a family member and you create a boundary where you're like, I care about you, but this relationship is no longer serving me and it's not working for me. I wish you all the best.
It's also not serving you.
Yeah. And I wish you all the best, but you're not available for late night calls. You don't continue to be in contact. Like you need a clean break. And again, if he is a danger to himself or others, you call and let someone know. But if somebody gets broken up with, getting dumped and broken up with does not create like suicidal ideation that's not there. So it's not your responsibility to halt your life and to change everything. In this case, to quote unquote, fix somebody who, if his mind goes to really hard, dark places, that's not for you to take care of. That's for professionals to take care of, because that's not because you broke up with him. That's because he's struggling with other mental health issues. And that's above your pay grade, even as like a therapist, but also like as a partner.
Yeah.
Like it's never the result of that. And like, I know that you know that because you're a therapist, but I remember like younger, like people would threaten to harm themselves over breakups all the time. And it was like, you know, it's a very scary thing. And then you get older and you realize you're like, oh, somebody who is like doing well mentally doesn't do that. Like that's actually not a consequence of a breakup. Like that is something that's an indicator of a much bigger issue that I shouldn't feel responsible for if something were to happen.
Right.
But I'm sorry. And I hope we were sensitive enough.
But
you
came
knew.
here and knew what you're getting into.
You acknowledged it.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break.
Wow.
We're back.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I am 20, almost 21, and I use she, her pronouns. And I'd like advice about choosing to no longer drink alcohol. I live in Canada, so our drinking age is 18, but also just in general, people start drinking much earlier than that. I've always been fine with drinking and going out with friends, and I don't have a dependency on alcohol or anything. But the last time I was drinking, I didn't have a good experience. It was Halloween, and my friends and I were going to go dancing, so I had a few drinks with the rest of them. And while we were waiting in line to get in, this guy, as well as a few of his friends, butt in front of us. And when my one friend confronted him about it and said, like, why are you doing this? He called her fat as well as said homophobic things to her. And for me, as a lesbian, this sort of startled me because you're never really prepared for blatant homophobia when you're just out to have a fun night. And as the more time passed, as we waited to get in, and with him being so close, the more I was overthinking the situation, and it felt like I was going to have a panic attack. So I needed to leave. A few of my friends and I went home, and I sort of had a small breakdown in the bathroom about what he said. And the next day, as I was thinking about what happened more, I wondered if the alcohol had made the situation worse for me. I've never had that reaction before with drinking. I've never been stressed out like that. Usually it just makes me more bubbly. But I know that you, Megan, have stopped drinking, and I would just like to know your personal experience with quitting, as well as like how to go about doing so, especially with me still being in university and having drinking be a very big part of the culture. I've also been listening to you guys since I was 15, since the very beginning, and I absolutely love everything you guys stand for and the messages, as well as I'm loving the new episodes basically every single day. It's what I listen to on my walk to school, so it's great.
I love your voice.
Yeah.
You sound like you would just be like, I don't know, you would be like the like really happy like gopher character in an animated movie, like TV show or movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like really sweet, and I just like loved that.
This is like two different things.
Yeah.
I don't like you saying like you don't want to feel like that when you're drinking, or you don't want to feel like that, and that kind of thing hasn't happened to you before. It happened. You haven't experienced someone being blatantly homophobic either.
Yeah.
And so those are two different things that happened. And even if you weren't drinking, you still could have had those same feelings.
Yeah. So alcohol's a depressant.
Mm-hmm.
So emotionally, especially the day after, that's like, that darkness kind of sets in. And alcohol can also increase anxiety. But like Melissa said, this was an anxiety inducing situation, because not only was it like blatant homophobia and fat phobia,
Mm-hmm.
but from the seemingly he just cut you in line,
Right.
and was fat phobic and homophobic, and then you can't do anything about it. And so then he was just standing in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're about to go into like the same club or bar that he's going into. Like there's no resolution there. Like that is a really, if you think of it like a bottle that you're shaking, like you're building up to like and he's just standing there. Like that's an explosive kind of feeling there's no resolution.
Right.
So there's no like, I think there's like an emotional response to those situations where like you kind of have to be the emotional release. That's like sometimes people cry when they fight. So I don't think that alcohol made the situation better.
Right.
But like Melissa said, like, I don't think that you can say that you wouldn't have felt that way if you were sober.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't want to drink anymore, I rarely drink, maybe once or twice a year. You don't really drink
at
either.
all. Yeah.
So that's a choice that, you come to on your own if this is what you want to do. But I don't know if like this incident is a reason to like, it doesn't have to be the reason why you stop.
Yeah, I think like you said, like they're two really separate things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like if you want to evaluate your relationship with alcohol, I think in general, you don't come to that conclusion without a like reasoning. Like that's not really the first thing anybody else thinks of. But also you need to do that in parallel with recognizing that like this can happen again when you're sober, and not putting because I think that will actually make you have a much worse relationship with alcohol if you put the responsibility on avoiding those feelings and those interactions on not drinking. So if they happen when you're sober, that can then, then you're like, fuck it, I'm going to like go on a bender.
Right.
So that it's really important when you're not, whenever you're viewing alcohol, is that like you don't give it that much power. It needs to be like I think a process of this, and like you don't have any dependency. So I think that like I will be very honest, like I did not quit drinking in college, like, or like I talked about it in my book, but like I really like quit drinking, started off kind of like accidentally because I had no friends. And in that, when I realized that I wasn't going out, like I realized how much I relied on alcohol when I was no longer in situations, because I was underage, I couldn't buy alcohol. So when I no longer have access to alcohol, that was a really hard time for me to be like, wow, I have a problem. Like this is an issue for me. So that was not like a powerful choice that I made. It was kind of like a shitty, harsh truth of like a side effect of like an other like really rough life period that I was in. But it also like was not all at once. And I think especially when you don't have a dependency on it, I think like it's really good to just take steps back to evaluate, because if you just stop drinking as like I'm just not going to drink anymore abstinence, it's kind of like abstinence is sex education. Like you don't know why, and you also don't know like, well, why aren't you drinking? Like what is your relationship with alcohol? How does that make you feel? Like there is no reasoning behind it. So there's no really reason to stick to it either, because it's not about like your values or your morals or about knowing yourself. It's just kind of like all or nothing. And that's just not a healthy relationship to have. So I think like it's starting off just by being like, I'm not going to drink for a month, and I'm going to, and I think especially like for university stuff, I'm not going to drink for a month and I'm still going to be social. Doesn't mean you have to go out to parties, but if you punish yourself and not hanging out with any of your friends, then it becomes, well, now I have to drink to have friends.
Yeah.
So like it's a lot of work to involve that you need to, again, if you make alcohol so enticing that it's tied to the only time you listen to music, the only time that you like are dancing, the only time you're doing all these other things that make you happy, hanging out with people that you really like, then you start to think that that's alcohol, not those individual aspects. And then life without alcohol means life without friends, life without music, life without all of these other things, which is like, what the fuck? It doesn't have to be that. But you have to replace that and like supplement your life with other stuff.
Yeah, because like my decision, it came to like a lot of meetings that we have here in Hollywood. There's so much alcohol at all of them, and it's free.
Yep.
And I did not want to be sloppy like some of my peers that were around me. And I was like, I'm just not going to drink. Like, I'll be like today I don't want to drink.
Yeah.
And I didn't drink it at one party, and I was a lot more present and I had more fun.
Yeah.
And also the next morning, I didn't feel like shit. And so it was kind of just like, okay. And I did like the next time I went out, I didn't have it. So it was just like something I came to on my own that I was like, oh, I actually have a lot more fun. I'm more present. I can be more social. I remember things better. And, I don't feel like shit the nenext day. So I'm just not going to really drink.
Yeah. I think the whole thing with like, I mean, I'm not a fan of alcohol, like in general, also like society wise, like it's a carcinogen, like it literally causes cancer. It wrecks our brains, and it's scientific.
Poison.
Yeah. It's scientifically proven. And like, I'm very passionate about it now, and about how like, I'm going to be really honest with like my kids when it comes to drinking about like, I was one of those people
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
First time I drank, I was like, this is who I'm supposed to be. And like when people talk about addiction, and it's like there's some people who have that switch that flips in their brain. Addiction runs big in my family. Same. But like when I'm like 15 and the first time I take a sip of alcohol, it's like I'm meeting my true self for the first time. That's a really big red flag. And I'm going to tell my kids that it's like, that's not true. Like that's a lie. And that's also a lot of self-medicating that happens. And our whole drinking culture is like really fucked. So I want to say all of that to begin with, because I'm not pro drinking. I think like, yes, some people can have a healthier relationship with alcohol than others, but alcohol is not, I don't like the word healthy, but in this case, I'm going to use it. Alcohol is not healthy for anyone. And like, it's way worse for other people, but it's not good for anybody. But the biggest thing, especially at your, like being like 2021, you need to make sure that you don't do is you don't push yourself or put yourself in situations where you're abstaining to the point where then the result is binging.
Right.
Because binging on alcohol and blacking out, that is a much, much more slippery slope than the casual a couple of nights of drinking. Because no matter who you are, no matter how often you drink, there is an innate shame of blacking out and binging. And then shame is something you keep to yourself and becomes quiet. And that becomes like the cycle of then not telling other people when you're drinking, not knowing your own limits, and then hiding your own drinking and your behaviors around alcohol. And that's, you need to eliminate shame from this, because shame makes you hide. And that's where addiction or unhealthy relationships, that's where they thrive.
Right.
So like Melissa said, like one night that you choose not to drink, and then maybe it's another night after that. But don't set too large and lofty of goals for yourself without even knowing why you're setting them. And you're not setting, like you need to be setting them because you're like, oh, I feel a lot better when I don't drink, and I'm actually excited to do this. And this doesn't feel like a boundary.
I have more fun.
Exactly. Like it needs to be like it's just kind of a given, and that's what's going to happen. And then also keep this to yourself. Like I'm all for sharing things with other people, but the peer pressure of alcohol is, especially in college, but honestly at all ages, like I think it started being a lot less when I knew people who started having kids. That's when people started like giving me less shit. But like that kind of, people feel really fucking threatened when someone else is not drinking because they think it means that they have a problem. And that's their own shit. But this needs to be a choice that you are making without the influence of other people telling you that you're fine, that it's whatever, that's so fun, like whatever it is. You can confide in a couple of people if you want to and you trust them, but don't also set goals that make you feel like you're upholding them to please other people, or that you are doing something that doesn't maybe feel right for you in that moment afterwards. Also, it's not all or nothing. And I also think that like you don't have to have a dependency on alcohol or be chemically having dealt with like addiction or alcoholism to know that like you enjoy your life more without it. And I think that like you just need to give yourself opportunities to like fall in love with your life and who you are sober, and not viewing it as, oh, I'm no longer drinking because that will stop me from being in these certain situations.
Yeah. And I think also now for me, when I do drink, it's because I want to just taste something. Like I enjoy the taste of like whiskey. And so I know. I enjoy the taste. So like I might be somewhere and they have like a good whiskey and I want to like see how it tastes, but I'm not drinking to get drunk.
Yeah.
That's not the goal.
And that's legitimately, that is the only healthy relationship that you can have with alcohol. That's it. Like it's for the taste. It's not to loosen up. It's not a social lubricant. It's not for any of that. It's, I want this taste and see how this pairs with this food. Like that's literally it.
Yep.
That's it. It's like salt. It's like salt in food, and that's fucking it. Okay, not for you, but do you know what I mean? In the sense that like you're not just like chugging, the fucking like little girl with the raincoat and the umbrella. Like this is adding something here,
flavor,
and it's not. It can't be too much, but also probably not even salt because you put salt in everything. But maybe like garlic. Or maybe, I mean,
like garlic
we put
powder.
a lot of things, or like saffron, where it's
Like,
so
you
fucking
can't-
expensive that you like
you
one
can't
little
little-
thing every once in a while, like a
little
tiny little bit.
Not even a pinch, just like a little, whatever the little
Yeah,
pedal
little,
thing is.
yeah.
I
Like
guess
the
it's
string?
a pedal. I don't know
Oh.
what it is. I don't know.
I don't either.
It might be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a plant, right?
Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's like caviar.
I could go for some caviar right now.
Of course you could.
Pop it on your tongue.
Italian, like somewhere like a Michelin star gelato. Like it's something that is like, this isn't a part of like, not only is it not part of your day to day, it might not even part of your week, your month, or your year. So she's fantasizing about it now.
I'm thinking about caviar.
But I think everybody should reevaluate their relationship with alcohol. But I do think that like going too far in the extreme of immediately being like seeking out resources when you are not dealing with dependency of sobriety specifically, and like alcoholism and all of those things, that content is written for people who are dealing with like diagnosed alcoholism and like addiction, substance abuse, and like chemical components of what that does to your brain. And so when you go really far to that extreme, there's actually not a lot of resources that you're going to relate to. And then that can give people a false sense that they have a fine relationship with alcohol. So I think it's about reevaluating it as a process, not as like a cut and dry yes or no thing.
Yeah.
Because like the answer can still be no, but it's about why is the answer no.
Okay. Next call.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm 24, she, her, and the other person in the story is 25, she, her. So basically, I was the maid of honor in my friend's wedding. Don't worry, she didn't pee on me. It's not like that. It's just a whole different level, like, type of drama. She basically, like, tried to leave her party the night early because she didn't want to drive in traffic the next day, and she didn't want to, like, help clean anything, and I told her that it was rude to leave when all her guests were there. And she was leaving at, like, 1 a.m., so she wasn't even leaving, like, in the middle of the day because she was in a bad mood. She just didn't want to drive in traffic the next day because it was a holiday weekend. And no one wants to drive in traffic, but okay. So she, like, did that, and then she was just, like, rude to me. I could go into all the other details of it, but that's not the point of this call. The point of this call is I dropped out of her wedding. We ended up getting in, like, an argument because she said that, like, I was a bad friend, and then I accused her of being a bad friend because the only time she would contact me was to talk about something for her wedding, but, like, she didn't really value our friendship. I feel like she couldn't tell me anything about myself. We've been friends for over 10 years. Like, that's why I was her maid of honor. And, like, basically, it just, like, all blew up, and it was really stressful, and it felt like a big friend breakup. So, because I dropped out of the wedding. But I dropped out 7 weeks before her wedding because I don't want to be in someone's wedding and have to write a nice speech about someone if they don't value me as a friend, and then they're going to be disrespectful of, like, my parents' house that we stayed up north and all this stuff. So I dropped out of the wedding. She's married now. It's like 2 weeks after her wedding. I'm at my parents' house, and my parents got a wine basket from her, thanking them, like, for letting her use the place up north, like, for her bachelorette party, because I didn't charge anyone for it or anything. And I got a message from UPS saying, I'm also getting a gift basket, so I'm just going to assume it's also from her. But I don't even know what to do. Like, I don't know. My plan was to never speak to her again. I didn't go to her wedding. My parents didn't go to her wedding. Haven't talked to her since, like, 7 weeks before her wedding that I dropped out. So beginning of September. So, yeah, I don't really know what I should say. My plan was to just never speak to her again because the whole situation blew up. It just felt like a breakup. But, yeah, I love your advice. I'm a Leo. She's also a Leo. Center of attention. Long-time listener. Literally been listening since the first episode. So I'd love to hear from you guys. And I can give you more details. But that's a song for another time.
Candidly, I would love more details.
Yeah, because right now, I feel like she was under a lot of pressure from her wedding, and you were there as part of the bridal party, and it doesn't seem like you tried to make things easier for her with the wedding stuff going on.
Yeah, I think we need more details.
Because, like, she wanted to leave, okay? That's not, for me, that wouldn't have been an issue.
So for me, I don't know if this is what the caller was feeling, but like for me, I feel like if I planned a bachelorette party and then the bride wants to leave at like 1 a.m. to beat traffic, I would be like, wow, you'd really like, I might internalize that of thinking that like you didn't like this to the point where like, you would rather drive home now at 1 a.m. when this is like kind of feeling like, oh, this might feel like you might have felt like she really didn't have a good time and didn't enjoy that. And like, there's a lot of work that goes into like planning that kind of stuff. But that's also like, we don't know your friendship and how those dynamics are.
We don't know your friendship, how the dynamics are. Was everyone planning on staying? Maybe she just didn't want to sleep there.
Yeah. And that's like, I think that depending on a friend of.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Mine, I could know if someone did that, if that was passive aggressive, if they were like, I didn't have a good time versus like, I just want to like, I would not be offended if some friends did. And I would definitely like feel a little offended if other people did. So like, you know your friendship more.
Mm-hmm. How many people were there?
Yeah.
Did everybody have a bed?
Yeah. I mean, I think wedding stuff is just hard and like no one kind of wins.
Yeah. Me and my sister Melanie got in a huge fight the day before her wedding.
Yeah.
And she pissed me off. And every time I think about it, I'm still mad about it. But we're great.
That's because they're sisters.
If you've known somebody that long, you might have similar feelings.
No, totally. I just think also like bachelorette parties, I think if something is really important to you about your wedding, then, and you have like, if it needs to go a certain way for you to have a good time and you're not just there for the experience of it, like within reason, I think then like you need to be at the steering wheel of it. But I think if you have really specific expectations and if it doesn't meet those expectations, like you're going to be devastated or it's going to like, there's a lot to live up to. I don't think it's fair to put it on the other people who aren't getting married. And so I think that like, if she was being super unreasonable and like you felt like so underappreciated, not only as like the maid of honor that you were like bending over backwards, but it was that she wasn't even appreciating everything that you were doing. And then on top of it was like being a really shitty friend and viewing you as like an employee, essentially, that you didn't even feel like you were doing a good job. I could see why a 10-year friendship would end for that. But yeah, I would love some more examples. You said that like she was being a bad friend and then she said that you're being a bad friend. I'd like to like what both of the reasonings you had were. But
yeah, because I would be like, if we're having trouble in our friendship or it doesn't seem like she's respecting me, then I would say, hey, why don't we go out to dinner and we're not going to talk anything wedding?
Yeah.
Something like that. It seems like a lot of miscommunication here. There's also like weddings do bring out the worst in people. And like to what you were saying about like planning things, I don't want anyone planning anything for me. Like, yeah, because I'm very specific about what I like.
My birthday every year.
Yeah.
I'd probably let you plan something for me. But that's just because like you're very perceptive. You know what I like. And even if you didn't know what I like, you're bougie.
But I'd ask.
Yeah, but you're also like, I think it has to be like, you have to have a certain level of like, we have comparable taste. So I know that
I kind of like for your birthday, I picked like 5 restaurants.
Yes, that's what I was like, literally thinking of that.
Specifically know that you can eat these foods and you like these foods and
like you like an ambiance and a vibe that like I know that like your bottom of the barrel is more than enough for me. Like, do it like it's that kind of thing where I go, I know that like you have within a threshold, like, but I also have a lot of other friends that like I know we are similar enough that I know that like I wouldn't be asking you to plan something that you wouldn't enjoy. And also that would then be like really hard for you to put yourself in my shoes. Yeah. Like, I think that's like, if you're going to have someone else plan for you, I don't think it needs to be someone who knows you so well. I think it needs to be someone who you pretty much have a pretty similar baseline of what you enjoy, because you're asking a really fucking big favor from someone. Yeah. And like, if you have to go out of your way to search for something that is so out of your wheelhouse, that's just so much more work. But I will also say, I think when you feel like someone is being a bad friend to you, it's really hard to be a good friend to them. So I think there's probably truth in like what you both said. And like, I've said that, like when I've had friends who I'm like, wow, I feel like you're being a really shitty friend. I can look and be like, yeah, I don't think I've been a good friend because I think I'm reacting to the behavior I feel like I'm getting, but you might be giving that behavior because you feel like you're reacting to behavior I gave first. Like whatever that is, it happens. I'm not going to lie to you. I think 7 weeks from the wedding, dropping out of the wedding, I don't think it was the wrong choice to make. It's mean. Yeah. It is mean. I don't think it means it's unwarranted or it wasn't the right thing to do. But I think like, you know, acknowledging the fact that like, I don't think you should have gone to the wedding. I don't think you should have stayed in the bridal party, but that was in her eyes. It's not hard for her to paint you as a villain.
Yeah. I think brides get so snippy, like weeks before, days before. They're so snippy. Like I've never been in a wedding where the bride would just felt like she felt like everything was just coming down around her. And the last few days, I mean, like 7 weeks, everything to them is just like about the wedding. Like that's all they think about. And if you're not saying like this friendship is not working for me right now and you're not communicating that things do not feel equal and you feel like you're doing more for them, then let them know.
Yeah. It's not going to get better closer to the wedding. Also, like, it's not going to get better closer to the wedding. Like, it's just not. And like, I've laid the wedding industrial complex with like, you have all these people telling them like, this is the biggest day of your life. Like, you're the most important person over and over again. And even like family members and like everybody has a say in all of that. And so when you're not with that, like, you have to know that like, you're the only voice. Yeah. You're the minority there. And so like, you will become like othered in that situation. And, you know, for some people, like you can, it's not to the level of extreme that it was with her and you can just deal with it. But then other times, like you can't. But I don't know. I mean, you're talking to two people who are massive ghosters. And I don't think that if someone sends you a gift basket, like if you can reflect on the situation, you're like, okay, I didn't tell you all the details, but like, I know for a fact that like, she was I was doing everything I could and she was like impossible to please. And she was so horrible and so mean. And like, I like tried everything that I could. And like, I wouldn't give up a 10-year friendship if I thought that like she valued me at all. And like, I'm so hurt and all of this stuff. If that's the case, eat the fucking gift basket and don't say anything.
Right.
Like I've had people who I stopped being friends with who like have like, you know, dropped by a care package and shit. And I'm like,
sent a gift and just like,
yeah, like that's on them. Like their goal for that is
to be seen.
Yeah. And like
or she might have realized that she was being a massive cunt.
Yeah. So I think that like you need to reflect on like, what is it that you want here? Like, you don't have to forgive her. Like, the gift basket is not like, if this doesn't compel you to like miss her and feel like you do want to like rekindle or see how this can work, but like it'd have to be a pretty fucking good gift basket if she treated you like shit.
Yeah.
I actually don't even think like it would have to be like 9 edible arrangements. What else?
A massage.
With the meat thing that we like. Remember we were talking about?
Oh, with summer sausage.
Yeah. With like a really nice, like one of those crackers that kind of looks like a mini loaf of bread.
Caviar.
Apparently. Fuzzy socks. Winning Powerball ticket.
Mine said no there. I lost. Somebody in California did win though.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. You don't have to do anything.
You don't, but like really, if you're over this friendship, be over it and enjoy your basket. If you want to still be friends, enjoy your basket and then, you know, reach out.
Yeah, because a 10-year friendship, like, I think it's, you know, you don't want to end that lightly. I don't think you did end that lightly. I don't think it's something that you kind of just throw away from like one sort of incident. But if this was super out of character, I think that like, you know, giving yourself both like the opportunity to like grow and potentially see if there's a relationship moving forward. But just eat the sausage.
All right, we're going to take another break.
Woo!
Ooh.
No ghosts. No ghosts. We're back, though.
I was about to say, don't turn me on, Megan.
I'm complaining to HR. HR? Yeah. Just put it in her file. Yeah. I'll get you another binder. I know there's so many pages. Yeah, it's overflowing.
All right, time for Don't Blame Them.
Now, Don't Blame Them, everybody, if you didn't know, is when one of you, a listener, will call in with your own advice pertaining to a call we had on a different episode. So maybe if it's your profession, so you know you have some intricate knowledge, or you've dealt with it personally, or you've been in close proximity to it, you just have some fun facts, or just strong feelings, and you love the sound of your own voice, which, welcome to podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm calling for a Don't Blame Them for actually today's episode called Feeling Misled on a Date. I'm calling regarding the caller who called about braiding their students' hair. And I just wanted to call to reiterate what Melissa said. I am a 5th grade teacher, and I would never consider braiding any of my students' hair simply because I just would never touch any of my students. I understand that she feels like maybe this family has some backwards view about femininity and masculinity, but honestly, that is not a hill that I'm willing to die and willing to let my career die on because of something like this. Like Melissa said, I think that you're in the wrong for touching the student at all, and I don't know whether that student's parent was mad because it was a braid and it was feminine, or if they were mad because you touched their child. You did not have consent to touch that child, and I just wanted to call and kind of reinforce what Melissa said here, because that is just something you don't want to get yourself into, especially because you get in a lot of trouble. I don't know what the policy is at your school, and I don't know how strict they are on it, but honestly, your rule of thumb should just be never touch a student. You just never know what the student can say about it, even if it has good intentions. You just don't know how a student might take the touch, even if it's something simple and innocent. You just never know. I'm really concerned about this, especially because at my school, actually my mentor that I work with, or one of the mentors I work with, he is under investigation right now for something very simple like this, where there was no ill intentions, but because students see things and maybe see it out of context, they might take it the wrong way, and it could be your job on the line. And I just don't want to see any actual good teachers get in a sticky situation like that. So I just wanted to reinforce what Melissa said, and don't touch students ever, please. Even if you think the parents are in the wrong in this situation, it's just something you shouldn't do. Don't ruin your career over something like this. Okay, bye.
You were so close.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a first red flag when you said you don't know what a student can say about that. Like, here's the thing. Yes, kids' brains aren't like fully developed, but you can't use the same analogy of men in the workforce saying they're not going to hire women because they don't know what the woman's going to say about, I can't talk to women at work because I don't know what they're going to say about it. Like, yes, kids' brains aren't fully developed. You know, they might be projecting certain things. Like, yeah, kid might, have some issues at home and might take an innocent touch as something meaning more. But your argument started to then dabble into
not believing
the
person who's been touched.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't think it's about don't touch a student, because again, it's not to prove a point about gender binary. You don't have much to stand on when you're touching a student, no matter how innocently. But it's not that you don't touch students because people are going to think it's not innocent. That's not that becomes victim blaming, and then you're not believing children specifically, and that's really bad.
Yeah. So just don't touch people. Anyone. You can touch adults with consent, but don't touch children.
Yeah, and even like you've got policies at school that like, I always like those videos of like kindergarten teachers that like, I'm sure they've got like, they get parents signed off on like, you know, we do on the first day of school or the day you walk through it. It's like, do you want a high five? Do you want to do a little dance? Do you want to, and it's like giving people agency for the kind of relationship they want to have. And also there's no precedent for the next day. So like you get to choose.
Yeah.
Consent to something every single day. And like that's done with parent approval as well as like school board approval. And, you know, those outlines are there for a reason and they're not, I don't mean to be callous. They shouldn't be there to protect teachers from persecution or accusations. They should be there to protect students. Yeah. So I just think that like, I'm a little alarmed about you talking about your mentor. And that's really alarming. Not believing kids because it becomes people not believing kids because their brains aren't fully developed and they're weaker. And then that leads into not believing other people that we deem as more fragile and weak. And that becomes women and people who present femininely and people who are shorter, people who are small. Like it just, and then the other side of it is that people who we view as having power or are loud or confident are also just aggressors. So that's like a really slippery slope that I feel like you've already slid down. Okay.
All right. Well.
Yeah, that's it. That's our episode. We hope you enjoyed. If you haven't left a review, go do it and go subscribe to the feed so you can hear all of our other podcasts. We have obviously this one, Don't Blame Me. And then tomorrow we have our little extra episode. See you next Tuesday where we catch up on the weekend, what we did, some fun things.
The weekend as in Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, but then if you want to hear us actually talk about the weekend minus a couple letters on Thursday, we did bring up the weekend on this week's episode of But Am I Wrong? That goes up on Thursday. And then we read the results from But Am I Wrong on Friday on our Fisting Friday. So if you're still listening at this point, go comment on our Instagram, the ghost emoji, because Melissa wants to have sex with ghosts. Because she's a little nasty.
Or an alien.
Yeah, whichever one you prefer. Who would you like to set Melissa up with?
Merman.
Would you fuck a centaur? Comment on ours. What percentage of horse versus what percentage of man?
Yeah. Okay. Back to the review.
Oh, yeah.
I could not thrive without this podcast. From Page W1026. 5 stars. Eminem never failed to make me laugh, give me indirect tough love, and overall comfort. If you've ever needed advice on anything, you are in the right place. Also, if you're new, start listening from the beginning and listen to all the episodes. You won't be disappointed. Love you guys.
That's so nice.
It started season 2, but whatever.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, if you're gonna, what I would recommend, start with our most recent episode. Maybe listen like 3 or 4, and then go back to season 2 and start. Yeah. But like, I would like, yes, the growth is great, and like how we've changed, how our advice has changed is great. But like, I need you to have a barometer of where we get to first before you're like, I don't know if I agree with. We weren't problematic.
Yeah, we just like grow up and
we learn more shit, and like, you know, we go to therapy. Like we've grown up and learned on the podcast, and we've also learned a lot. I mean, like as 2 straight cis women, we've learned a lot through the podcast as well. That like we changed the terminology we use, and like, you know, our own experiences. Like after that one time that we said that, you know, using Tinder as an app to make friends in a gay relationship, and we said that is sketchy, and then we were promptly educated.
That long ago.
And it was like, no, that's not true. We were like, we stand corrected. Yeah. Apologies. And everyone's like, your straight is showing. And we're like, it is.
I mean,
our bad.
Sorry.
Yep. That's what it is. And like, you know, there's growth. There's growth that comes. But also definitely make sure you don't ever skip over the Cammie Crawford episode, because it's iconic. Anyways, that is it. We hope you all enjoyed. And if that review prompted you to leave a review, follow that voice. Listen to that gut feeling, that instinct. You know what that is? That is your manifestation. And in order to manifest your hopes, dreams, and all of that money, this is a part of it. We got to leave a review. There's like steps to take.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Come on. It's my ethical scam.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. We will see you all soon.
See you next time.
Bye.
Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts and Diamond Imprint Productions. Edited by Coco Lawrence. Post-production sound by Chris Henry. Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson. Music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.